Joining us now from London is Brendan O'Neill, Spiked Online Chief Political Reporter. Brendan, it's always lovely to talk to you. Can you tell us about what this report found and about the recommendations expected to be tabled in Parliament later this week?
Yeah, it's a really shocking report from what we know so far. The whole report is coming out shortly, but the snippets we've seen in the Telegraph are really disturbing. I should point out, just in case there's any kind of confusion linguistically, that middle class in the UK pretty much refers to the upper middle classes. That's how other people would refer to them. So we're not talking about working class people. We're talking about culturally influential people, people who run art galleries, who work in the public sector, people who are well educated and pretty well paid, the professional classes. And in those classes, anti-Semitism has been normalized. It's absolutely true. This is something I've clocked for a long time. So on a lot of those very noisy anti-Israel demonstrations, there's always an unholy alliance of affluent socialists and radical Islamists. That's really the pincer movement that we've seen that is demonizing the Jewish nation and very often demonizing Jewish people too. So, this is the section of society that loves to think it's on the right side of history, which says Black Lives Matter, which says trans women are women. It has all the supposedly correct views. But when it comes to Jewish people, it is very sniffy and often quite openly racist, and it's pretty shocking.
Well, you know what else is shocking? Activist group Palestine Action has been prescribed as a terror group, and it's actually prompted UK-wide protests at the very decision. More than 70 people were arrested this weekend alone at protests in England and Wales. Brendan, help us understand this. The group is deemed a terror group and people are upset about it?
Palestine Action, actually, they perfectly sum up what we've just been talking about, which is that upper middle class, bigoted contempt for the world's only Jewish country and also, in some instances, for all Jewish people. It's been prescribed as a terrorist organization, as you say. It carries out all these stunts to raise awareness about what it refers to as the genocide in Gaza, or what most of us refer to as the war between Israel and Hamas. In May, just a couple of months ago, 3 masked men from Palestine Action went to Stamford Hill, which is a very Jewish part of London. They smashed up a Jewish business. They sprayed it with red paint. They left shattered glass everywhere. They completely terrorized that Jewish community. And the next day, a lot of the Orthodox Jews who live there say this is just like what our ancestors tried to escape in Europe. Shattered glass, broken glass, destroyed businesses, that kind of bigoted graffiti that was there. This is the group we're talking about. This is a group that has terrorized actual Jewish communities. So when I see middle-class activists and Labour politicians and Guardian journalists defending this movement, to me, it sounds like they're defending something very dark indeed.
So, Brendan, when UK Jews are being terrorised, it's obvious that the Labor government would be worried about Islamophobia, right? The Deputy PM has backed down on plans, though, for a new definition of Islamophobia, which they've been working on for quite some time after free speech campaigners threatened legal action. Just talk us through what's happening there and what the government's trying to achieve with this.
The government is obsessed with Islamophobia. It's the only thing that this Labour government really talks about. Even though we're living through one of the worst crises of anti-Semitism of recent times, they're still banging on about so-called Islamophobia. So yes, the Free Speech Union has insisted that the government must open up this consultation and involve more voices, including voices that are concerned about the free speech consequences. Because, there is, of course, such a thing as anti-Muslim bigotry. That does exist and that should be tackled. Of course it should. But Islamophobia is something else. Islamophobia is really just blasphemy law by the back door. It's about criminalizing or demonizing any criticism of Islam, any criticism of Islamic practices, even criticizing radical Islam and Islamist terrorism becomes more difficult when you have this regime of censorship around this one religion in particular. So what the government is proposing to introduce is pretty terrifying, which is a new blasphemy law that would ring-fence Islam from any form of criticism or humor or mockery. And I think the Free Speech Union is absolutely right to say that this is a real attack on our free speech rights.
Absolutely. It really is extraordinary. Brendan, we want to change pace a little bit and ask you about the royals. King Charles and Prince Harry's senior aides have reportedly held a secret peace summit together to try and resolve this bitter royal feud. But at the same time, Princess Kate made an appearance over the weekend at Wimbledon and she was greeted to a rapturous applause. Let's have a look. Oh, I wonder what's going on in Montecito at the moment. I'm sure Harry and Meghan would have hated seeing that, Brendan. But, you know, in regards to this private meeting, do you really think we're ever going to see a reunion?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? But that footage of Kate being given such a rousing round of applause, it really does demonstrate that the vast majority of British people are Team Wales. They're on the side of the Prince and Princess of Wales, and they're not Team Montecito. They have no interest in Harry and Meghan, you know, the John and Yoko of the royal family, as some people refer to them. But, you know, it's, you know, fair play to King Charles. He wants to make amends with his son, I'm sure. He probably misses him. You know, he is his father at the end of the day. But let's not overlook that Prince Harry has behaved terribly. This is a man who goes on and on about people invading his privacy, and yet he wrote a 400-page memoir that tells the whole world about what King Charles is like, what Prince William is like, about what they said in private, about their text messages, about apparently William once pushing Harry to the floor. He revealed everything about them. He invaded their privacy, and that was unforgivable, I think.
Yeah, Brendan O'Neill, very appreciative of your time tonight. Thanks for joining us.